Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto video. Today we yet again have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, starting it off with Ripple XRP's decentralization. There have been quite a lot of questions in the comments section about this specific part, and so I want to give my 2 cents on that. Now, the reason I'm covering it right freaking now is because I put up on Twitter, I think XRP will outlast Bitcoin. And this is something which I've expressed multiple times. I personally think that even though Bitcoin right now is definitely the biggest proponent of the crypto market and will definitely decide where the market goes, cryptos like XRP have a better potential to last throughout. And one thing to kind of back that up is, for example, what businesses can use XRP. Here's one example on the xrpledger.org. You can become an XRP Ledger gateway. Gateways are the businesses that link the XRP Ledger to the rest of the world. This tutorial demonstrates how an existing online financial institution can expand to act as a gateway in the XRP Ledger. Now, that on its own might sound a little bit strange to you, but if you look further into it here, you can see what exactly the XRP Ledger offers. And one key part of it, in my own opinion, is just the fact they're not trying to go all the way against the financial system, but no, they're completely inside of it. And that's one thing I've explained to you guys before, where it's so bit different than Bitcoin. Why exactly? Well, we'll get to another part of that in just a second once we talk about this billionaire question. But let's first check out the decentralization, because that is again the issue at hand. XRP is centralized. No different between XRP and Western Union Company. Very interesting statement, but a lot of people have this exact same thought process. Matt Hamilton of Ripple Dev actually came in and said, nope, the XRP Ledger is decentralized. No one can stop you transacting on the XRP Ledger. No one can seize your XRP. Western Union can decide whatever they want to let you transact or not. Western Union can seize your funds too. And it's pretty funny because Matt is always there when somebody puts up XRP centralized. I kind of wonder how exactly he tracks that, because he is always there. Regardless of the time of day, he is always there, which I think is pretty damn funny. However, his point could have been good if he put up Ripple, because Ripple, again, is a company, Western Union is a company, but XRP, of course, not. Now, one thing you can check for yourself is actually the strategy which they explained in 2017. And guys, let's quickly make one thing clear. If we're looking at Ripple and the way they handled XRP, you can definitely say that the first couple of years it was a security, or it was centralized. Why? Ripple even admits that. You can't really go around it because Ripple controlled a large portion of the network. However, it is about the strategy, it's about the plan, and it's what exactly you get to and what exactly you have whenever regulations are coming in. Because mind you, there were never any proper regulations made regarding all of this, and so nobody really knew what was allowed and what was not allowed. There should be, and there most likely will be eventually, a grace period of a couple of years, most likely 3, has been proposed by Hester Pierce. Because if you can make your platform, your network completely decentralized in 3 years, you're going to be fine. And that's basically the key question right now. Did Ripple do a good enough job to make it decentralized enough? And is it right now decentralized to the core? Well, I would say yes. Here's a little fun update from 2017. Again, you can kind of look further throughout the years, but 2017 is the one we're watching right now, where they're basically explaining their decentralization strategy. And it's basically talking about how right now Ripple controlled quite a large portion of it, talking about the October 2017. Yet what their plan was to basically expend this like crazy, change the UNL a little bit, and right here, Ripple chose deliberately to be the most trusted validator operator in the network during the initial stages of the development of the XRP Ledger. This decision involved trade-offs to prioritize security and scalability ahead of decentralization. And that's actually not talking about 2017 itself, it's talking about prior, but the point being, Ripple was created so long ago, right? XRP Ledger 2 in 2012. And it says there, it's been created as a trust-based alternative to the proof-of-work consensus mechanism, because again, you have to rely on one another to get things done, theoretically speaking. Now, point being, to not really waste too much of your time, they grew out from this idea, they grew quite rapidly, and let's quickly see it, right? Where's the exact number? They put it somewhere throughout here. All right. Strategy. To meet the growing needs of the customers and further increase resiliency and stability of the XRP ledger, Ripple is in a great position to fully execute on its decentralization strategy, which has been an ongoing process in 2012. So whenever the moment that they came up, maybe they had 100%, let's say, they've just been expanding and trying to get as much out of their hands as possible. We've covered this a couple of times on the channel. Phase 1 includes the diversification of validators by identity, location, hardware, and software, in an effort to further mitigate the risk of a single point of failure. At the time of the announcement, 25 validator nodes were running, with 5 trusted validators owned and managed by Ripple. So about 1/5 of the network was owned by Ripple. Two things important to say. One, if you ever thought about Binance Chain, for example, the Binance Smart Chain, it's actually got 21 nodes, right? So if you ever think of centralized, Binance is one of the most key examples out there. Binance Smart Chain is completely centralized. It is. Everybody knows it. It's also called decentralized finance because it is. Why? Well, they basically copied, this is a little bit of a fun fact, they copied Ethereum to the core, but the only thing they did is increase block size, and let's say they increased a couple of things which make it more hardware intensive, and they made it so that only 21 players basically can participate because they need institutional grade hardware to manage everything and keep up with everything. But again, that does make it literally centralized. Currently, over 70 validator nodes are running globally, and this has drastically changed. During the phase, Ripple will be adding 16 more trusted validators to the unique node list in preparation for phase 2. Again, trusted in this case means Ripple knows they are, good. During the second phase, for every 2 of the most reliable, reputable, stable, secure, and attested validators added during the recommended list of trusted nodes, 1 validator node currently controlled by Ripple will be removed. So again, let's repeat that. During the second phase, again, this is 4 years ago, right? 3.5 years ago. For every 2 of the most reliable, reputable, stable, secure, and attested validators added to the recommended list of trusted nodes, 1 validator currently owned by Ripple will be removed. So every time that 2 come in, 1 will be removed by Ripple until no entity operates a majority of recommended trusted nodes on the XRP ledger. If you're wondering what these recommended trusted nodes are on the XRP ledger, it is basically so that right now you have a full list of XRP. It's actually xpcharts.ripple.com for the validators. You have a full validator registry, and you can see here UNL, right? It has yes. What that basically means is if you go to the Ripple website or the xpl.com, you'll find, or org, you'll find a little bit of a list of validators that are quote unquote trusted, or at least are known by Ripple to be good for the network. You don't have to run this exact same UNL. UNL basically, in this case, standing for unique node list, and it again just basically means that Ripple knows they are trusted, and you should build a unique node list, or I guess a list of validators that you trust for this specific consensus algorithm. Now, in this list, you can also see though there's a couple of parties which are known by name already, a couple of others which aren't. You can, I guess, check the public key out, though maybe you'll find something out. I'm not exactly sure how to do it with you, but it's maybe a fun thing which you could do if you were to have some time left. And the validator operators on this recommended list of trusted nodes believe in the long-term vision of XRP and want to participate in the consensus process, which involves voting on proposed amendments, modifying fees, and validating transactions. Another key part is that they do not get paid for all of this. So again, the best incentivization is no incentive, as we have seen before, because these guys are not doing it for the money. They're doing it to keep Ripple, I guess, out of the loop and also get XRP up and out there. Another thing, it's important to note that for the operators who already use the recommended validator list, no further trust in Ripple is required during phase 1. Despite the significant increase of validators under Ripple's operational control, the validator list currently recommended by Ripple contains 5 validators operated by Ripple, and at the end of phase 1, this list will contain 16 such validators. During phase 1 and 2, Ripple strongly recommends that operators use only the default Ripple provided validator list, which basically means don't mess us up, don't mess the entire network up because we're not decentralized enough yet. So use whatever we say is safe and then deviate after if you want to. Consistent with the recommendation, the next scheduled release of Rippled version 0.81.0 will ship with the default configuration file, but again, you can change that if you wanted to. During phase 2, Ripple will begin decommissioning 1 validator under its operational control for every 2 third-party validators that demonstrate a strong reputation for stability, and that's again uptime. Same thing for reliability and security. Ripple will also be working with other entities to establish independent providers of validator lists And yeah. Conclusion, Ripple remains committed to decentralizing the XRP ledger and divesting itself of operational control. This multi-phase approach does that, but it is intentionally conservative and has been devised with a single goal in mind: to ensure the reliability and stability of the network during the transition period to a fully decentralized and distributed architecture. So this again is 3.5 years ago. Why is this important? It's to understand for yourself just a little bit how things came to be. And if somebody ever called it centralized, it's again on this one argument that Ripple had more control. However, ever since Ripple had full control, has been like, I don't know how long ago. Even in 2017 here, they did not have full control. They really couldn't make those choices themselves. But it's just about the idea, right? That Ripple had more control and they're just kind of getting away from it. And that's the fun thing about Ethereum too, and about any one of these platforms like Bitcoin. At one point or another, you have either full control or a majority control. If you look at one of Ripple's articles here, this is also, I believe, from 2017. Here's their strategy: how we are further decentralizing the XRP ledger to bolster robustness and do that for enterprise use. Once more, guys, Ripple is one of those platforms which want to get into the financial system, not completely revamp it, but come inside and and basically work from within. Oh, the jokes, right? The jokes. But one of the things which I explain here is how, example for how it compares to Ethereum. Let's quickly see if we can find that throughout here. Let me actually do a Command F, type in ETH. As we continue these initiatives to further decentralize, which you can read into if you want to, this is once more a long time ago, but it's still quite important. It's actually more than 4 years ago now. As we continue these initiatives to further decentralize the system, XRP Ledger will inherently become more resilient. A key benchmark that we aim to is to become more decentralized than Bitcoin, which at the time of writing is 51% controlled by just 5 mining pools. This means that the largest 5 pools together working could achieve a 51% attack and reverse transactions, double spend, at will. For Ethereum, this number is even lower. Only 3 pools are needed for a takeover. To match Bitcoin, XRP Ledger would just need 16 trusted validators. Add more, and the number of tolerable faults increases accordingly. In other words, XRP Ledger will not just meet, but exceed the decentralization of other public blockchains. And of course, within these years, things have really drastically changed. As you can see the validator list for yourself right here, things have drastically changed. But the point still is quite clear. If you really start to measure it up, you can actually see which ones are owned by Ripple. I think, right? I would think that, you know, some of the domains which are owned by Ripple would be Ripple's, but I might be wrong on that. I would say that bitso.com, if that's your domain, this is the validator owned by Bixo, same thing for Brex. But again, I'm just a guessing guy here as well. I'm not exactly sure about all of that. Same thing for the Waterloo University. But, you know, I'm as good as you guys are. With the increasing number and of course the decreasing number of Ripple ones, it's basically as with Bitcoin, basically as with all these other guys. You have some parties which can have some control, but all of them on their own, they will never be able to do it. And with Ripple, the fun fact is they have a unique node list, which some people call bad. I personally would say no, because with Bitcoin, the way it kind of goes, it's like, well, if those Chinese parties, which now are moving to Kazakhstan, even the US, if those parties in China back then were to come together, you'd have the entire network gone. And there's no party which could stop that. Even now there isn't, but at least with Ripple, the way they created it, with the XP Ledger, you at least had a party of guys that would never do that. With Bitcoin, since they have an incentive to maybe do that because they will make money off of it, they are very much inclined to do so. With XP Ledger, again, that little trusted list, theoretically speaking, they could always mess it up, but that's with any decentralized system, and that's the fun fact. You need to work together if you want to mess something up. If one party or a couple of parties could do something, which, again, there's not the case for the XP Ledger, then it's decentralized, right? If you can't do it alone or with a couple of parties, then you're good. But yeah, that's just my little story here. I just want to go over all of this because I find it fun. I just find it fun to kind of dig a little bit into it, and you guys have been requesting it. So this is from a couple of years ago. This has been the I guess it is basically to get over all the complaints of people saying XRP is centralized. They basically just explain, no, we aren't. And if you think we are, well, it's only going to get better from here, so do not worry about it. Yeah, I guess they just had to take a big step back then in 2017. Now we're 4 years further, though. And it's funny how the SEC sued them in 2020, 3.5 years, or 3 years and 2 months after they made their full vow and after things have really gotten a lot better. Why didn't they sue them in 2017 when they were going after all the ICOs, right? Why didn't they sue Ethereum? Because that one, again, they literally had a freaking ICO. Like, what? It's time and time again, I just get confused by these systems, man. It's really crazy. I had something else open, but I'm not exactly sure what it is anymore, so let's kind of stay away from that then. Oh no, this was about the XP Ledger Gateway. Let's actually come back to this earlier point that I made, which was about this billionaire, right? So billionaire Bitcoin dies with over $1 billion in Bitcoin, raising questions. The reason I popped this up is because one of the things which really needs to happen is proper rules to come in. Think about it, guys. Right now, if one person dies with, let's say, 1 million Bitcoin, right? Let's say this person had 1 million Bitcoin and nobody has the private key. Nobody is ever going to be able to get that Bitcoin back. And there either needs to be a proposed change on the Bitcoin network, which will be awful. That will not happen. With XRP, it's a lot easier then because they're more, I guess, forward thinking because it's not as big of a money incentive as with others. But in theory, there needs to be kind of a fix, even in practice, there needs to be a fix for private key loss, or at least a way to get rid of it or make the system more robust to it. Because if you think about it, if this happens a couple of times, if some of these rich guys with $1 billion in Bitcoin, $5 billion in Bitcoin, $25 billion in Bitcoin keep dying, for example, with the private keys lost, it could be that all of a sudden there's only, let's say, 5 million Bitcoin left, and that just keeps lowering. Even though, theoretically speaking, yes, the price can just keep increasing per Bitcoin, and so our Bitcoin will become worth more. But at one point or another, you're not going to become liquid enough, or you're not going to be able to buy really small things because the price just keeps increasing per coin as the scarcity effect takes in quite severely. And at one point or another, it might literally become illiquid because institutions like Grayscale might be holding a ton of it. No, not Grayscale necessarily because those traded. I'm talking about Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy might hold it, and those guys don't move the Bitcoin around. They just keep it, hold it, and just keep it steady. That might actually turn out to be a really big problem, as the circulating supply of Bitcoin might literally turn out to be like 5, maybe 3 million Bitcoin in not even that many years from now. As MicroStrategy is 100,000 Bitcoin, more and more companies can really get to that point quite simply in a couple of years from now, as 98%, I think, of hedge funds have explained that will get into crypto companies soon. A lot of them will be buying Bitcoin, a lot of them will be holding Bitcoin without the intention to really sell it in the short term, and that could really be something to think about. It really could. Now, that's just one part of the story. It's not like the regulators aren't thinking about it. For example, you can see it right here. We don't have much time left to regulate crypto, says Bank of France governor. Is the truth, though. I mean, there's a huge demand for crypto right now as we speak. You really can't get behind. You can't really go around it right now. It's extremely popular. People I'm losing my train of thought a little bit when I talk here. I'm not losing my train of thought. I'm just like slipping up the words a little bit because I'm so excited to talk about it, maybe. But the Bank of France knows as well. There's no real time anymore to go through a slow process of regulating. They had so many years that they really didn't give it too much notice. Right now they have to make some decisions as more and more Bitcoin is being used for illegal activity. More and more questions are being popped up about electricity. More and more questions are being asked about what is and what isn't allowed. More and more money is circulating in this space. More and more people are getting into it. They have to act now. It's such a big space. They can't let it go. In the same sense, guys, the banks are getting into it quite heavily too. Morgan Stanley buys over 28,000 shares of Bitcoin Grayscale Trust. Pretty severe little thought right here. Pretty severe little article. I might even make another update for this on my 5-minute crypto channel just because of the severity of this article right now. Really quite severe. Through the Morgan Stanley Europe Opportunity Fund, the fund is designed to seek maximum capital appreciation by investing in assets that the investment team believes are undervalued at the time of the purchase. The fund allows the investment bank to invest in established and emerging companies throughout Europe. The fund invested in GBTC to the tune of 28.3 thousand shares as of April 30th. So a little bit of a while ago, but it's actually a filing from today, which is why we only know it now. And it's about a $1.3 million exposure at the current time, or at the time back then. Right now, most likely a little bit lower than that. But you get the idea, right? They're putting their money where their mouth is, and it's a good thing. Crypto companies are doing quite proper. A lot of these guys, banks and whatever, are getting into it. Once more, they don't really have too much time to regulate it. And yeah, I had another thing open here. Ripple's lead lawyer tells how big the SEC battle is and why Coinbase shouldn't be comfortable listing Dogecoin over XRP. It's basically that every crypto could be next. And right now they were like, oh, okay, XP got scared, let's delist it. While Dogecoin and a couple of other players might literally be next. And Ethereum, theoretically speaking, following Hinman's speech, isn't actually any safer than XRP is because it could literally be next. But we'll see about that in the near future, guys. We will see. One fun battle that might be coming for these exchanges is that they had XRP listed before. If XRP turns out to be a security, the SEC might actually come back at them and say, hey, you listed it in a security before, we're coming for your ass. Or some people might sue them for listing and selling or making money off fixed securities. But that is for the future. They think they slick by delisting. Eventually, it might come around to bite them in the ass if they thought they were smart about it. Because, again, every crypto could be... We'll see about that, though. Guys, that was it for today's video. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. It's a long one, but a fun one, and I enjoy this type of stuff. I just enjoy to talk about this type of stuff. So let me know what type of info you'd like to see next, and I'm hopefully recording the next couple of videos a little bit earlier throughout the day, so I'm not stumbling over my words as much. But keep in mind, guys, I'm not a native English speaker. I try my best to give you guys the info, and see you guys again in another crypto video soon.